NVRDC does isn't just for our clients. The work that we do at NVRDC is for the entire community.
I think NVRDC is unique in that we provide services holistically to clients.
I feel what NVRDC is doing in a DC community is pretty innovative.
Valuing the individual as a whole and not just kind of isolating them by their legal issue.
There's a lot of groups out there that are helping people who've been victimized and had terrible experiences in their lives, but I don't think there are any that do it better or more comprehensively than NVRDC.
So NVRDC is like a safety net for the community.
It means that as someone's advocate or attorney, we don't show up to their experience telling them what they should be feeling, experiencing. We don't even show up understanding what they're feeling or experiencing. We show up for them to tune in, right? To tune in to what they're saying they need out of their experience. That we bring this concept of empowerment to life, right?
So it is not a challenge for me to identify all of the great things that this organization provides to the DC community, to individual survivors, and collaboratively for the people who work here to each other as a family. So it's been unquestionably one of the greatest honors of my life to participate in this process.
On a typical day, I could be going to the hospital to respond to a sexual assault survivor case. I might be interacting with law enforcement on behalf of a survivor. I might be going to court to offer additional support to survivors whose case has gone the criminal justice route. It could mean advocating for survivors with their landlords, with their schools, any other institutions or financial institutions that they're involved with.
Advocate is usually there right at the most vulnerable time of a survivor's life.
I'd say there's a few major reasons why it's important for there to be a third party who advocates for a survivor. In the most obvious sense, as an advocate who does this kind of work professionally, after a while you develop a level of proficiency and familiarity with laws and practices and common alternative outcomes that a survivor might just not have the information to know they have access to.
I'm listening to everything you need, and I am doing my best to make sure we succeed together to get you the resources that you need to get through this traumatic scenario.
I work with student survivors, so I mostly work with students who are pursuing on-campus complaints under Title IX and the Clarity Act, and I assist them in reporting to their school and going through the grievance process that they have at their school after they've experienced sexual misconduct. So DC's community is unique in that campus violence affects it a lot because 1 in 8 residents of DC is actually a college student, and there are 8 universities in DC, and based on statistics, it's likely that 1 in 4 college students is sexually assaulted during their undergraduate years. NVRDC is one of the only organizations in DC to provide free legal services to complainants in on-campus processes.
To survivors of crime in 3 major areas. For survivors of sexual assault, intimate partner violence, dating violence, and stalking, we will provide representation in civil protection order cases when they're seeking essentially safety through the courts from the person that has caused them harm. And then finally, we will represent victims of any type of crime in criminal investigations and prosecutions in asserting their rights as a crime victim. So.
My role is to support survivors of crime who are immigrant clients, who are victims of hate crime, who are victims of fraud and identity theft, and who are victims of campus sexual assault.
any system that our clients engage in tends to put too much of a burden on survivors. And I think that even in the best circumstances, it's still a tremendous amount of work that survivors have to put into these processes. And so I see NVRDC's role as shouldering some of that burden for survivors and making sure that they're able to engage with the process smoothly and with as much choice and say in the process as they can.
So, the Victim Legal Network of DC is a network of legal service providers. We have over 20 members and we're growing fast. It's essentially a citywide coordinated effort of legal service providers. And all of these organizations individually do so much great work in a variety of different ways to provide legal services to crime victims. And the network is essentially a mechanism to bring all of these organizations together and work in a cooperative, collaborative way, which really, really increases the efficiency exponentially and the ability of all the organizations to, serve the ultimate goal of providing legal representation to as many victims as possible.
At the center of that network are our two navigators, and their job is to work directly with the clients to help connect them to the legal services provider, the member of our network, who best fits their specific legal need.
The restorative justice program at NVRDC looks this way. So instead of going to the criminal process, the survivor chooses to do something more alternative. And so in that, the restorative justice seeks to making amends or repairing the damage done to the survivor and walks away to the punitive process. And in that way, it helps the survivor to define their own justice and to create alternative solutions where fosters healing and repairing the damage done.
A huge emphasis for NVRDC tends to be survivor-defined justice. So what that means for our roles is that they are very flexible and very dynamic, and it can change day to day depending on the needs of the specific individual that we're working with.
Necessarily be what you and I think justice is, but what it means is that that survivor feels supported, that survivor feels like their voice is heard, that survivor feels like they can recover and heal and move on from what happened to them in their own way, in their unique way, what it means to them.
It's as simple as what it is, like just giving them choices, but at the end, it gives you agency in life, and so you're able to kind of take that power back and use it in your own life.
It's a uniquely challenging thing to do. Actually, it's a lot easier to tell someone what justice is like and give it to them, but it's a much harder thing to work with someone to help them identify what it is and help them achieve that. And I think that NVRDC does that with a really unique model and a variety of programs that meet the needs of lots of different survivors.
In all of the work that we do, we're never going to be able to take away the experience that someone has had with crime. I can't fix that. I can't take that away. But if I can be a part of the evolution of that experience, that actually makes that survivor's experience better than it would have been without me, I think that's a really big win. And that's
NVRDC has the stage and the ability to impact real change on behalf of survivors of crime and assault.
That looks like, but we also use our own voice and power and privilege to advocate on behalf of our clients, not just in the courts, not just when we're meeting with police or prosecutors, but in a whole wide swath of arenas.
I think it's important to support survivors because they represent people in our community, and one of the ways that we take care of our community is to show up for them in some of the hardest moments in their life.